one by one, and they will exactly do in the front office. And that's how they test it. Once they test it, they say, yes, this is passed. And they will send out an email saying, yes, this test case is done, and it's signed off, so you can go live. Guess what? We know that it is going to be passed because we have tested it. That's a happy path scenario, right? So, well, that was not good for users or for us, because when we do only happy path testing, those testing is going to work, those features, but at the same time, when user starts their hands-on with their day-to-day scenarios, that will be different than what we have done for the happy path scenario, right? So we will have more bugs. Of course, we had to support longer. So that was a risk or challenge, whatever we call it. So for user acceptance testing, that was a challenge. Lot of paper intensive, again, time consuming, because we are writing those test cases, users are reading test cases, and all we are getting done is happy path scenarios, right? So it's a risk and it's a challenge. And right after China deployment, we realized that this is industry standard, but we need to rethink this process. What we did? Well, we started user involvements ahead of time rather than going to the users beginning of the project while we are gathering the requirement, and going end of the project when we want to do the user acceptance testing. We started involving the users ahead of time. So right after the requirement, we had our front office application deployed to China. So for Latin America, we had one version already available, the one which was deployed in China. So now it was a little bit easier for us to tell them that, okay, this is how the function works. It works in China, so it's been tested. So all happy path scenarios are definitely working, and a lot more users are working, so even the other scenarios being tested. So we asked users to write down their own scenarios at their convenience. So if we were to come up with 10 happy path scenarios, they will come up with sometime 40 scenarios for the same function to test. So now our application was really in front of users testing the scenarios which were never tested before, right? So we are making it solid, the productive, but the quality of the product definitely was improved. So when we went to Latin America, our scenarios were stronger. We were able to even use those scenarios to the other markets. But, so we were fixing, as they find any issues, we will fix right then and there, and the sign-off became easier. The beginning was challenging, but user felt more involved. That also helped actually with the training part, because now our training was reduced. Because users were involved ahead of time, they already know how it works. So we didn't have to go longer for the training, or not a lot of training sessions. We have to go and tell them, oh, this is how the front office works. At the same time, they were more comfortable, they were more welcoming. So our OCM became easier. So that was our key learning, where our deployment was high quality, fewer bugs at the end of the deployment, and at the same time, we had a great relationship with the users. So our users in Latin America were really happy to see the front office, and they were so welcoming. So that was a key learning for our team.
I'm going to pipe in here, because I thought this was very interesting, because I think typically you want to just kind of give a finished project and product, right, and say, here you go, it works great, thank you very much, and then leave. But I think this is a new way to look at it, is to involve people sooner in an unfinished project or product. And you actually said kind of go break it.
Yes.
Go break it, challenge it, drive at 150 miles an hour and see if it still runs really well, and then
come back and
come back. So that must have been really scary to do that the first time.
Yes.
But yet the first time, what turned out? Do you happen to remember?
Yeah, I was really, and especially the sales development application, that was pretty new to the Latin America. The China did not have the sales development application, which I was personally involved in. So users were really, really happy, and in fact, they gave us all the ideas that, okay, this is how, today we are doing this is how it should be, this is how it looks like. It was actually great experience rather than having it, I call it a risk, because when user tells you ahead of time, you are actually reducing the support time at the same time. And I also want to add that we had a great collaboration with our COE team in the markets. So not only China, but Latin America in this process. Our COE team was so heavily involved that they knew it. So today for Latin America or China, we support very little unless it is impacting the entire project or the entire product, they just take care of it. So our support is also kind of, it worked out well actually.
Does everybody know what a COE team is?
Oh.
You want to explain that?
Circle of Excellence, I think.
Center of Excellence.
Center of Excellence. Sorry, we use so many terminology, sometimes we don't even remember.
Yeah, so the Center of Excellence, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong about this, but the Center of Excellence team is in the market. And so we have a team here that deploys, but they kind of turn it over to that Center of Excellence team, and then that Center of Excellence team runs with it and supports it from here on out, so.
Exactly, and we're always here to assist them in any way that they need and answer any questions. But yeah, we try to have, in each region, we have a team so that, for one thing, they're on that time zone, okay?
That's a great help.
And they've come along with us right from the beginning. So they're involved in the requirements gathering, ideally, and they're involved in the user testing, and so they're involved all the way through. And then when it's time for us to move on to the next region, they can begin supporting that region. And of course, we spend, we dedicate a lot of time at first, making sure that they're comfortable. But then they're responsible for supporting that, and they just come to us when they need some help. So that's been a good thing too. And one thing I wanted to point out too about the user acceptance testing is, like you said, when I've gone out on trips, and we learned too that it was difficult to have users do user acceptance testing while they were still doing their own jobs. I mean, they all have their own work to do, and now we're asking them, will you test these 100 features? And so, of course, it was going very slowly, so we learned that if we go out and we plan a trip, and we're out there for 3-4 days, and we say, okay, for these 3-4 days, this is what you're going to be doing, much more effective, much more efficient. And it was so cute because I think it all depends upon your attitude. We go in there and we're like, okay, come on in and find something wrong, and the point is, you're here to find something that's wrong with the system, rather than, we found something wrong, oh my gosh, and that's kind of how they are at first. They're like, I'm not sure this is working right,